Hello. Thank you for joining our second Center for Victim Research Ask Me Anything live session. Today we'll be talking about the CVR Library, the public collection and full collection. First, a few introductory comments. The Center for Victim Research is funded through an Office for Victims of Crime grant, but everything presented here today is my opinion. And I am Laura Pulse. I'm the research librarian on the Center for Victim Research project. September is Library Card Sign-Up Month, and so I hope that you will register to use the CVR Library Full Collection. The Center for Victim Research provides you with no-cost access to subscription journals and databases relevant to victim services. Some of the titles that we subscribe to are listed here, and we have many more available. You can register by visiting victimresearch.org, and if you have a Victims of Crime Act grant number, you'll be able to register for library access. Even if you don't register, you can still use the CVR Library's public collection. This collection includes more than 1,400 free materials that we've cataloged and tagged so that you have one place to locate relevant research on victim services. And today we'll be exploring the Center for Victim Research Library, both the public and the full collection. I'll be pointing out some features and tricks on searching the library. We'll look at what it looks like when you're not logged in, how it looks when you are logged in, and then also just look at a couple library tip sheets and bibliographies to help you on your way while you're exploring. And I'll leave some time at the end for questions. There's the chat feature on the right, and just make sure that all attendees is selected. Thank you, and just make sure to ask us questions. This is your time to ask me anything. So now I'm going to go to the website. So we're starting at victimresearch.org. To get to the library, you can either click on the first tile here or use the top menu. And if you're on a mobile device or an iPad, this library tile will be the first item that you see. So very easy to get to. When you're on the library page, we have a big brown search box here that'll be your place to start. And again, I want to say that everything that we're going to be looking at is freely available to victim service providers. Right now we're searching the public collection, which doesn't require you to sign in or register. This includes 1,400 open access free materials that we're continually adding to. These materials include research about victim services, victimization, trauma recovery, surveys of survivors, anything that can really help the field to build the evidence base. I also want to note that the CVR Library is based off the Calio model, which is the Child Abuse Library Online. So if you're familiar with Calio, CVR Library will look very familiar. And the librarian at Calio, Muriel, always reminds me to say, everything we're looking at is free to you. Very good to emphasize. Okay, so let's go back to the search tips. Before I start searching, I always like to think about what are the main phrases that relate to my topic. A lot of the time, research questions combine a couple different ideas, so the more that we can think about that ahead of time, we can save time in the long run by making sure we're capturing the whole essence of what we're looking for. So for this demonstration, I'm going to say I'm interested in how other programs have used their funding and their compensation programs to address victims' needs. So I'm going to think about words that are related to compensation and funding. So let's see, I'm going to try financial or economic or monetary or money or compensation. And the or operator there lets the library search know that any of these terms work for me. So as long as one of those terms appears somewhere, that's good enough for my search. I'm going to put it in brackets because I want to add another topic, and just to make sure we're a little more focused, I'm going to add survivors or victims. This and here lets the library know that I want any of these synonyms related to funding and financial, and any of these synonyms related to crime victims. So when you've started your search, and you can start a lot more simply than we are here, this is, library speak, you can hit the magnifying glass, and a new tab will open that will show you your library search results. And if you want more suggestions on how to build some of the complex searches that I was talking about, I have this tutorial right here. For now, we'll continue exploring how the library looks in the public collection. So you'll note at the top how many search results you have. One of the benefits of searching the Center for Victim Research library is that you're getting a lot more focused results than you would get in a Google search, because we're focusing on resources that are related to victims and research. Both of those concepts have to be in any of the content that we include in the public library. And even after you've started typing a search, you can always edit it later. So, like I said, you can do things a lot more simply than what I typed in here. Some parts I wanted to point out from your results. Your search results will also bold where your terms appear, so you can get a sense of why the library selected this report to put in your results. And if you see a report that looks interesting, you can use the magnifying glass right next to the title. And it opens up a little box that tells you a little bit more, gives you a little snippet of the abstract. If you click on the title, you can actually get the full abstract and see all of the relevant tags and subjects, as well as the link to the full report, which will open up in another window. On the result page where it says View Document, that also will open the full text. If you want to save a bunch of articles, there's this folder button right next there. And if you click those, then that will add all these reports to your folder, which you can then access up at the top, right here in this blue menu bar. It says folder, and you can see that it looks like there's a little file in there. So if you click that, you can then select multiple reports and email them to yourself or to a colleague, whoever needs to reference them. It'll look like it's coming from the Center for Victim Research librarian, which you could edit that too. And that just gives you, if you don't have time to read them right now, you just want to collect a bunch of research, that will let you get a hold of them. We'll go back to our folder and back to our search results. Okay. Another way you can filter some results, not only adding more search terms to your box up here, on the left-hand side of the library, have a couple different options. You can change the dates that you're interested in. You can add more subjects by checking the box, and then the library will additionally filter to make sure these are the topics we're focused on. And you'll see more options once we log into the subscription library. So those are some quick, easy ways that you can filter them. Like I said, if you can edit this search at any time. So if you click Advanced Search, I just like how this looks a little better with the additional boxes. And there are some additional options down here too. So let's see how this compares to the full logged-in library. Let me know at any time if I'm going a little bit too quickly or if you want me to go back to a page. So we're back on the library page. Right here it still says Searching the Public Collection. I'm going to click Sign In and enter my information. So if you've registered for the library, this is where you would come to log back in. And once it recognizes you're a library user, it'll direct you back to the library. You'll see you're searching the full collection now. Let's just try that same search, which I had copied. So we're still looking at funding, financial aid for crime victims. You'll see now that we're logged in, we have many, many more results. So we're definitely going to want to use some of these limiters on the right-hand side. Some things that will be most useful for you is checking off the full text box. That will make sure that the results that you are getting are things that you can open right away. The CVR library includes some non-full text materials just so you can be aware that they exist. And we also have some options to purchase one-off articles even if we don't directly subscribe to a specific journal. Again, you can adjust the dates. Sometimes this latter date will look pretty funny. I think that has to do with how the computer scans some numbers and it can't always interpret what the number is. So I know for sure we don't have anything from the 1600s or older. I'm just going to move that. Let's get into the 1900s at least. You can continue to filter that, especially if you're looking for something that really just recently came out. You'll want to limit results. So let's even say 2018. And there, we're down to some much more reasonable numbers than 20,000. You can also limit by the type of material you're looking at. So this is one difference from the public collection. The full collection includes all those freely available resources that I've cataloged, as well as the subscription materials. So the subscription materials include a lot more types of content. Usually I like to limit things to academic journals. To me, that's the most relevant. There can be some really useful theses or dissertations if a topic is newly emerging, or if you're looking for something that's very, very local, those can be some good sources. So for now, let's just update that so we get academic journal results. And some other, again, you can still add some additional subjects to really focus what you're looking for. If you know the journal publication title that you want to limit to, you can use those filters as well. And another point that can be confusing in using the CVR library, so when we were looking at the public collection, right here there was a link that said View Document. In the full collection, you'll see a couple different types of links in this area. One common one, especially if you don't have the full text filter selected. Oh, and now I have selected it. So one common link that you'll see at the bottom of an article request, if you don't have your results limited to full text, it's contact your librarian for assistance. Like I said, we like to have some materials still come up for you just so you know those articles exist, even if we don't subscribe to, for example, the Journal of Economic Behavior and Organization. Some of these journals aren't always going to be as relevant to victim services, but they may have a couple titles that would be helpful. So you can click that Contact the Library and fill out your information, especially if you need the article by a certain date. That's really helpful to know. And then the library fills out this other information for you, so you don't have to copy and paste it. So if you see that link, it's okay. We're going to try and do our best to get you that article, or if for some reason we're not able to purchase that one-off article, we'll try and find you something similar, but just by reading the abstract and titles, and maybe the authors had a previous version of this article somewhere, so that's why you might still see these resources that you can't open with just one click. You'll also see PDF full text, so that will just very easily open the full text. You might see linked full text, so this just, again, opens you up in a new tab that's on a separate website, but it's still something that we have access to. So it's called something different, but it's still getting you the full text. There might also be View Record In. These are a lot of open access, freely available materials that come with our database subscriptions. So they also just will open up in a new website. And then you can open the full text there. Let's see, one other, you might also see HTML full text, and that's similar to the PDF full text. That's still just opening within the library page. That's very easy to get to. And there's one more, I'm not seeing a result here. There's one more that can be confusing. It's called Full Text Finder. And so if you click that link, hopefully it should go to the website where that article lives. But if it doesn't, you can get in touch with CVR and we'll try and troubleshoot why it's not going through. It's one of those quirks of trying to get a whole bunch of systems to work together. Also in the full collection, you can do the same thing, adding any relevant articles to your folder and then accessing them all there. And one other feature that I think is can be really helpful for the full collection is using this link up here. It's called the Full Text Journal List. And this lets you know which journal titles does the Center for Victim Research subscribe to. They can be resources that we still have what's called an embargo. So it's about 1 year or 6 months or some kind of time period where the journal doesn't let us have access. You still have to wait a whole year for that article, but you can always look up any title here. So let's try Journal of Interpersonal Violence, which is one I know we subscribe to. And this lets you know what date ranges we have access. I bring this up because there are sometimes journal articles that are called online first, so journals that have not been published in a journal edition. If you come to our full text journal list, search for the journal title, and then open one of the links there, you'll be able to see all the all of the resources that we subscribe to, even ones that the titles are not going to come up in the library search yet. It'll take a little bit of time to load just because, like I said, there's all these different systems talking to each other behind the scenes that are confirming we have access to look at these titles. I have search alerts set up for all the journals that we subscribe to, so I will get lists of these articles in my email, and it kind of gives you a little heads up for some articles that are coming soon, but they haven't actually come out in a specific issue where they're considered published. This is like a little future view at the research that's being done and can get you some newer research. Those were some of the main features and differences I wanted to go over with the Center for Victim Research Library, both the public collection and the full collection. We also have some tip sheets to help guide you as you're creating your searches, or if you're confused about what some of the resources, why they look certain ways. This first tip sheet is just an overview of some of the features that we talked about, but also pointing out a couple other formatting components of the library. So this can be a helpful flyer just to understand how the library is put together. And on the back, just showing you what different parts of a record look like. And we'll send these out with the recording as well. The second tip sheet I wanted to show you goes over some of the concepts that I was putting into practice, those advanced operators that can help you make really focused searches. That's one of the benefits of the Center for Victim Research Library too, is you can be very specific in what you're looking for. And so this tip sheet just tells you what some of these different operators do. And you can, of course, email to ask questions about putting together a search. Like I said, these are only if you're really curious about digging into the search. You can always just do a much broader search too. And all these tip sheets can be found at victimresearch.org/library, and there's even more resources and bibliographies there as well. So I'll wait a minute just for questions. Okay, thank you so much for joining this session, and I hope you find the research that you need.